Hey kids, it's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. We have the white P bass back on the bench today. Finally, the customer sourced out the bridge that he wants to use. Remember, we tried to do when we put the Seymour Duncan pickups in. He wanted to add a high mass bridge. The one that they sent, we won't mention the name brand of it again, was for a jazz bass, and it required quite a bit of drilling and cutting and modification to make that bridge work, which I could have done, but there's no reason to drill into a guitar unless you absolutely have to. So he came up with a different solution, sourced out a different high mass bridge, and we're going to install that today. It is supposed to be a direct replacement. We'll find out. Let's get to work. Remember, if you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe. Beautiful P bass. This is a Fender P bass Precision. That's what the P stands for. It is a professional 2. Now, an American professional 2. As I've said before, it doesn't get any more real than this. Modern, though. Very modern. 5 bolt holes. We are in talks with this customer about building him a guitar. He saw a guitar that I built, the jazz bass parts bin build for another customer, and he fell in love with it and tried to buy it out from under the other guy, but fair is fair. The other guy is taking delivery of it tomorrow. But he liked the neck on it, the roasted maple. So he sourced one out, and a vendor said, "Oh, I got the perfect neck for your bass." And of course, the vendor wasn't paying attention. This is a modern P bass. It is a 5-bolt staggered bolt pattern, and they sent him a regular old style 4-bolt, which there's nothing wrong with either one. I'm not here to say that, but the vendor didn't know what he was talking about. And that's my rant about that. This is what we're putting on there today. Full contact, Babbitts, call it what you want. I've heard of this company. I'm kind of excited to try their gear. Just like D'Addario or D'Addario, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce their company name. Further research is required. Got some pretty interesting features on it. 2 different intonation settings. Large to get it, big intonation to get it close, and then a fine-tuning intonation there. Also, that is your string height there to go up and down. Pretty interesting stuff. I believe there is a lateral adjustment, but I'm going to read more and we're going to learn about it as we go. As I said, I've been wanting to get something from this company and try it. It is going to tell us right now. Don't like the packaging because once you open it, you own it. Screws, ferrules for the back. This is a string through configuration. They do send you ferrules, and of course all the hardware to adjust it. I do not like the packaging, that's for certain. Stand by while I get this out of here. Interesting. They send you 4 ferrules. They give you the bridge itself. Of course, this guitar is going to need a full, complete setup when we do this, because I don't know if any of this intonation or string height, for that matter, is going to be accurate. It rarely is when you do this kind of job. It is a direct replacement from eyeballing it, and I'm qualifying it with eyeballing it. It appears as though you have 3 holes, which is what this P bass has for mounting, and then there are 4 other holes for the string through. Now, apparently 2, 4, 6, 7. They give you some extra screws in a packet. 3 screws are out and 3 screws are not. Couldn't tell you what the extra screws are for. They seem to be the same exact screw. You can do string back of bridge or string through the body. All of my Fenders are like that. Point of interest. Okay, these are metal. Not. This is aluminum. The hardware is metal. But everything else, even the saddles, the actual string contact is aluminum. Yeah. Well, let's de-string. Get this bridge off. I'm going to try to save these strings again. These have been on and off once already because of the previous fail, but we're going to try to save them. We should be able to. And as usual, I am not going to film the entire de-stringing process because it's going to be time consuming. I want to take one string off at a time and pass it through the body so that they don't dangle off and, you know, create a problem for me. So stand by. So point of interest, when I mentioned the setup, because once we change that bridge out, we're going to have to do a setup on this guitar. From the previous work that I did after I put the pickups in, I went to try to do a setup on it, and the neck is in a back bow, and I don't like that. And with the strings off, it's very pronounced. And Fender, in all their, you know, wisdom, you know, Leo had a way of figuring this out. His guitars were very stable, and so is this one, I'm sure. But you see that little pocket right there? That's where the truss rod adjustment is. And guess what? That pocket is not big enough to get a tool into. Biggest bitch about some Fenders. I actually, on my guitars, my Warmiths, the jazz bass type guitars that I build, I either have a bullet neck on it where the adjustment is up here, or I take the pickguard and I route it out. And there's actually, the body is routed out farther. But when they put this pickguard on there, you can't get a tool in there. And I can actually see where somebody's been trying to get a tool in there, but you can't. All it's going to do is round it off. So guess what we got to do? And point of interest, you know, five bolts on this particular guy. We're gonna take the neck off. I'm gonna set the neck where I think it should be with string tension to get a much better neck relief after we get it strung up with the new bridge and all that good stuff. So this may be unsettling to some of you who have never seen it, but yeah, this is what we do. And you got to take them all off. And pop that neck to get at that adjustment. This is why and I'm not slagging on this guitar or Fender's manufacturing processes these days in modern instruments. This is why I like the Mexican necks. They're just as good and they're stable, and the adjustment is up here. So that's a common adjustment that you have to make a lot sometimes, especially when you're building a guitar. You know, you don't want to have to keep knocking the neck off over and over and over and over again. This is not a one-time adjustment. I recommend that, you know, customers get a full setup on their instrument once a year, and that includes a truss rod adjustment, which is what leads us to this. Now, it would have been so easy for them to just route out the pick guard a little bit longer so that you could get a ball end hex Allen wrench in there and adjust that as necessary. But no. I've got to take the whole neck off. And if you haven't done this, be careful. Now, I was measuring here before, and it seems like it fits in there pretty good. Javier. July 22nd, 2026. It must be, I don't know, it says 2026. Wow. I don't understand that. Weird. Anyway, there is our adjustment right there. What does it say on the back of the neck? July 2023. I don't know why that one says 26. That's impossible. It's only 2024. July 2023. This brand new guitar. American Pro 2 P-Bass. Yep. Okay. So, I know what I'm going to do with this. I'm just going to do it and hope for the best. This is what we call the truss rod lottery. When we sight down the neck, this one is in a back bow, which is no good. If you were going to take a back bow or a banana, I would take the banana each time. So we're going to loosen some of that tension and let it straighten out. I'm going to get it as straight as the eyeball can see, because I don't want to go too far. I'm going to go just a skosh more, and that looks straight. There's no need to put a notched straight edge on it. I'm going to tell you that's probably going, once the string tension gets on there, through experience, this is what my guess is, my best educated guess. So here comes the tricky part. And it does fit in there pretty snug. I like that. Not as snug as the guitars that I build. But it sits in there pretty snug. And this is a tricky part. This is not easy. And some of this may be on camera. Some of it may not be. I'm not going to take the time to stop and fix the camera. I want to get a couple of screws started. I don't feel any wobble. This is straightforward. Just be as careful as you can, obviously. We don't want to scratch any paintwork. We don't want to over tighten anything. All we're doing is getting it back set in there. Get it snug. Once we get two of them in, I'm going to stop the camera, finish this, and then we'll be right back to pull that old bridge off and get ready to put the new bridge in. So stand by while I finish this process. We'll be right back. Okay, through the magic of video, the neck is back on the guitar. You can tell this guy plays, man. This is not an old guitar, and it's already got fret wear, string wear, I should say. This girl's coming off again, I should say. Let's be clear. And we are going to see what the difference is in these screws that are coming out and the screws that are going in. These look smaller. not by a lot. Maybe that's why they gave us 2 sets. Maybe there's 2 different sizes? I don't know. Ground wire, old bridge. Sorry, I'm out of the camera. Ground wire, old bridge. Let's just slide down because this is where we're working right now. So, old bridge. Yeah, these are definitely smaller screws. And there's 6 total, even though it's only a 3-mount bridge. It's a 3-mount bridge. And 3 are in a pouch, 3 were open in the shrink wrap, which, by the way, I hate. Let's see. Yeah, they're beveled, of course, so that they go down in there. Yeah, of course, they're not going to want to go right in. I don't like that. You got to take the intonation screws out so that we can slide the saddle over enough to get the screw down into the damn hole. Never go through the drive-through. But we can make it work. I think it's going to work. One, 2, 3 mounting holes. The string holes through the body are almost perfectly aligned. I'm not going to get in a twist over that. The mounting holes are perfectly aligned, so that's a success. Slightly off on the machining for where the string through the body. Not crazy about that. So these screws have to come out. Let me put my googly eyes on and make sure. I just have a bushing on them. Looks like they're preset. But here's the problem. Just so you know why I want to take these intonation screws out so that I can move the saddle. Like that particular mounting hole, you can see that the screw doesn't go all the way down flush. It can't get past the intonation screw and spring. And I'm not just going to hammer it down in there. That doesn't make any sense. You know, they might tell you to do that, but nah. In fact, it doesn't say much at all in the instructions. I'm going to do it the right way. Stand by. So there's such a thing as direct replacement, and then there's such a thing as direct replacement. And their definition of direct replacement is, yeah, you got to take a whole bunch of things apart on their new high mass bridge. A direct replacement means take the screws out, pull the old bridge off, put the new bridge on, drive the screws in. Now, everything's in the way. I'm not going to say poor design. I'm not going to condemn it to that, but yeah, the old Fender had it right. That's all I can say, because you could take a Fender bridge off in a New York minute. I just spent 10 minutes off camera putzing around with this thing. If you dig my meaning. And we had to loosen up a bunch of saddle screws, intonation screws. We'll get into all of that fun stuff later. But for now, 1, 2, 3, 4. We can run the strings through, string it up, That thing is solid, and the ground wire is in there. I'm going to tell you that my neck is now as straight as it can possibly be, with maybe just the slightest underbow. And I think once the string tension is on there, I'm hoping, against hope, that it'll only take that one adjustment that I did. Through experience, it tells me as long as we're flat, once the string tension gets on there, we should be close. But I like to tweak my basses, and I do it every time I string them up, but not on this one. Unless we get a different pick guard, or take this pick guard off and route it out like it's supposed to be. I digress. Stand by while I get those strings back through there, and we're going to start having some Babbitt's fun. So, very interesting. First and foremost, yeah, we checked, well, we set our, when we had the neck off, we set our, what I thought was going to be the neck relief. So we're checking that now to make sure that what I did when it was off is correct or good enough. 7th fret. Yeah, it's just kissing 12 thousandths. Let me get in the film. Capo, finger at the body, 7th fret. And it should just kiss 12 thousandths, which it is. I like that. Before, it was in there tight. I mean, you could literally put the feeler gauge in and it would sit like that. Now it's loose, which is, it just kisses the string. Perfect. I like that. And when we sight down the neck, of course, it's got just ever so slight, it's got the little banana in it, which is what it needs. That's your neck relief. Now, very interesting. It, of course, just like anything, it sends you the little wrench. I've got the right size wrench, but your string height has to now be adjusted. This is all a setup. Basically, what we did when we pulled the neck off, we set the neck relief. That's part of a setup. What we're doing now, because we changed this bridge, all these saddle and string height, which is your action, needs to be adjusted. What I like and don't like about this system, I like it and I don't like it both. You have to first, to adjust the saddles up and down, you have to first unlock it, and then you use your adjustment. And you'll notice that they kind of sit in there. The unlock is more level with the body. The actual string height sits up higher. So pretty cool. I adjusted the E. I think I have it where I like it. I'm hoping with the adjustment that we made in the neck. Am I in the video? Yeah. 5/64. That's where we want to be on a Fender. You guys can argue that ad nauseum. Doesn't matter. This is where I put them. So now that we have it there, we're going to lock it. Now, this is why I like that you can lock it, but what I don't like is a year from now, I just locked in that string action. It's locked. You can now not adjust it up and down, but what you can do, if you don't know that that's the lock screw on this side of the saddle, and you start wrenching on that, it might not be me. Maybe it's a guy a couple of years from now, and he goes, well, how do I do this? And he starts wrenching on, he's going to strip screws. That's why I don't like locking it. But it's a good thing, and it's not a good thing. That's my rant on that. But we locked it. Let's see if it changed. We adjusted it. We had it perfectly at 5/64. I just locked that saddle. It should not have moved. And it did not. So we're good. So next step is, of course, you know, I'm not going to put you through all that, but what I'm going to do is show you what I did. So we're going to now go to the A string. Now we know the neck relief is set. You got to do that before you do string action, because neck relief can change string action. If you straighten your neck, you're effectively putting the fingerboard closer to the string. If you put more relief in, you're effectively opening that gap. So you set the neck relief first. Now we're going to go in and unlock the A saddle. And I already know because I measured it, it's too high, which doesn't surprise me. I'm going to drop it down a turn and a half and measure it. And we'll see where it is. I'm going to show you this one, and then I'm going to do the others off camera. So A. I got pretty close. That's dead on at 5. Now I'm going to tune the A up, because sometimes when you make that kind of adjustment and then you go back and tune it up the pitch, it can change that adjustment slightly. And if you're going to lock it into place, make sure you got it where you want it. Dead on. Let's just check it one more time before I lock it. Now we have the proper string tension on it. I'm digging that. 5/64 on the E and the A, and then we go to locking it. So yeah, we have a locking screw for the intonation, or the string height. Pretty interesting. I like it and I don't like it at the same time. So I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to do the D and the G. We're going to get that set, the string action set, and then we're going to come back and check intonation, because that is something else. And it also has a locking screw and your regular adjustment like a Fender bridge would. Stand by. So string height is all set. Neck relief is all set. The last thing we're going to do is intonation. I already checked them all. Believe it or not, the E, low E is the only one that's out. Low E, it's E. The A, D, and G are all perfect. So same like the string height, it has a lock screw, which you have to loosen, and then you get back here. Now it's sharp, which means the distance between this point and this point is too short. Okay, we need to pull the saddle back, and that usually means, to facilitate that, you need to loosen the string, because what we're going to do is bring that saddle back. Now, pardon my head, because they do allow you 2 different screw holes. So if you're going this way, you can actually, and you go past its adjustment, you can take that lock screw out and move it forward to give you even more movement. I kind of dig on that. But I'm going to use my best judgment and say that should get us closer to where we need to be. Intonation, yeah, that's always a lottery. 12th fret, perfect. Perfect. A, perfect. Perfect. Love it. I think that string needs to come up slightly. No, we need to double check our string height there. I'm pretty impressed with this. So far, I'm impressed with it. It's not what I would use necessarily, but I had my doubts when I first saw it. But now I'm kind of digging on it. I don't think I would have ordered one for myself, but now that I see it, I'm not afraid of it, and I like some of the functions that are on it. Makes a lot of sense. The only worry is, who knows, later on, if another tech gets a hold of this and doesn't understand or doesn't take the time to research this system, lock screw, lock screw, lock screw, lock screw. So to set your intonation, you have a lock screw and then you adjust. To set your string height, you have a lock screw, then you adjust. Then you tighten down your lock screw. If you start reaming on that up and down adjustment screw without unlocking it, you're going to booger something up. Guaranteed, just as sure as God made little green apples. I'm going to call this one a success. I like it. I'm going to plug it in and play it. I'm going to do some final fine-tuning adjustments that every guitar needs after you do a setup and get it within. Like, I'm going to check every fret, make sure we don't have any high ones, all that good stuff. We run out of time, as always. I would love to make 3-hour videos because sometimes that's how long it takes to fix on a guitar. But this one responded and behaved perfectly. It's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. We'll talk soon. Remember, if you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe.